All right, everybody, we're back. I know I missed my video last week. Two reasons. One, had to get some information out, which we'll touch on. All right, a little more backstory, a little more insights, a little more thoughts. Second reason, I was a little bit congested. Never really felt sick, but I was congested. Didn't feel like talking into the microphone, and I used that as my excuse not to make a video last week. I'm sure everybody was terribly disappointed about that. So, today, we're going to talk business and changes first, and then I'm going to throw in a little educational piece, just a little one. All right, a little educational piece here at the end. Try to keep it somewhat short as I can. Obviously, you guys aren't on the other end of this to ask me questions like a live stream. But if you do have questions about what I'm talking about today and or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And we can clarify, simplify, and overcome those questions and concerns pretty efficiently. All right. So here's the deal. The only thing consistent about life is change is inevitable. And although this particular change wasn't expecting, it's also not unexpected. So we got to talk about some schedule changes, coaching changes that are coming up. Now, you guys know Coach Jason has been holding down the nights at South. He recently, well, it's been over a year now, but quit his job in the corporate world. We did a whole podcast on it. Was miserable, basically, and was looking for a life change. And he's been around CrossFit, in CrossFit, coaching CrossFit, doing CrossFit forever. We had a need, and he filled that need. It was a perfect situation that worked out for all of us. Well, over the last, I want to say 6-8 months, he has been doing part-time work in his industry of expertise that he spent a whole career in for a company. And if you don't know this about Jason, he's actually a really smart, intelligent guy and has a lot of expertise in this field. Well, this company that he was doing part-time work, they gone done and recruited him for full-time work. Can't blame him. Can't blame him. And, made him an offer and a deal that's pretty rewarding for his next chapter in life, if you will. Very supportive for him, very happy for him. And the best news is what's happening is instead of working full-time here and part-time there, he's going to work full-time there and part-time here. So we still get to have him as a valuable influence and coach and mentor in the community, just in a part-time capacity going forward with his new job. And his new deal will start March 2nd. So the schedule changes I'm going to talk about are starting March 2nd. All right. Now, last week I sent out the email canning the 630 class. 630 members. I know that wasn't a lot of notice, but the shitty thing about shitty news is there's never a great time to deliver it some of you guys have been diehard members of that class for a long time. And I can appreciate that. And if you're listening to this, you know I've already communicated with many of you and the situation, the why, and the what. That class average for years has never been over 6. And this has been on the chopping block for the last year. What do we do here? What do we do? Well, we merge the gyms. Maybe class attendance will pick up and be supportive of financially justifying that hour of day. And it didn't. It hasn't. In a class of 6 or less, on average, that class in particular has been about a $3,000 to $5,000 loss per year on just that hour at our current membership rates. Okay. Running classes that are running at an annual loss long term is not a smart business decision. And unfortunately, we have done that too often over the years. where other classes do very well and they do make up for it and can overshadow it, but it's not doing the best service for the long-term stability of this whole community. And part of my job is to, yes, I own this place. My brother and I own this place, and we have to be good stewards of the business so we can continue to provide as best health and fitness services that we can for a twofold. For you guys to have access to one of the best facilities in the country and some of the best coaches in the country, and I will argue that till I'm blue in the face. And we get to keep a viable, stable business open that, supports our needs. And our needs are pretty simple. We don't, we're not trying to become billionaires doing this. We're just trying to have a good quality of life doing the things that we love. You might be surprised, but the fitness industry isn't necessarily gyms is not something you go into to get rich. That might be as a shocker. It's just not. We do this because we truly love it. And we have to make sure that we're running a viable business in that process. And over the years, there's been times that the spreadsheets say one thing, the numbers, the data, the this, the that, and the community says another thing. And I'm very much in tune with the community. Maybe not as great across all classes. Obviously, I'm not there all day, but overall, I believe I'm very engaged in this business. So is my brother. And a lot of times it's hard for us to make long-term better decisions for the community if it's going to negatively impact somebody else in the community. And as much as I know some people, there's a few people that 6:30 p.m. was their class, we just can't keep running classes at a loss. It doesn't make sense. And we've tried so many things over the years to grow that class. And it just never seems to get to a financially advantageous threshold. And that number is between 8 to 10 people on average. It's like, okay, this is good enough to keep. And it supports itself. But to have a class average of 4 to 6 people, I mean, those rates need to be around $300 per month to support that. And I'm not willing to do that. And I'm not willing to do that for a specific class. Now, if a group of people want to hire one of our coaches to do small group training, that is something we do. It happens throughout the day here all the time, up to 3 people training in a small group. That's more personal training, not group class. Okay, group class here and our model is meant to be ideally anywhere from 10 to 25 people on average. And that is what supports the backbone of keeping the business open. So group class supports our full-time coaches and us in the overall operating needs of the business financially. And then all of us coaches who do personal training, nutrition coaching, and if that's our extra income, if you will. That's how it works. So that class has been on the chopping block forever, and we keep putting it off because of how I struggle with making those decisions if I know they're going to negatively impact somebody or a few people who have been with us a very long time. And I do apologize for the abruptness of canning that class. I know it seems abrupt, but last Monday there was one person in that class. There's multiple instances over the year of not very many, 1, 2, 0 people showing up for that class. And it had to be done. It was necessary. And the big driver for that is these coaching changes that are going to happen with Jason switching to part-time and the other coach who is going to be expanding her position here, Faye. So Faye is going to be also coaching in the afternoons. So Faye is going to be coaching 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Jason will coach 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday. All right? That is the plan. Now, you might be wondering, and you can look in the email, I'm going to have the whole schedule in there so you can visualize it. Tammy and I are still coaching Monday through Thursday, 5 and 6 a.m. Those are the only two classes in the gym that really justified two coaches in it every hour. The threshold, if you're curious on where we're looking at a second coach needing to be there, depending on the situation, all things included. Tammy honestly can coach these classes just fine without me. But there's a lot of equipment and logistics that has to take place in moving and planning that two coaches make it very much more better. When you have a highly experienced coach coaching a class of 25 people, they can do it. All right. Where we're looking at that is around a constant class average of 18 to 20. When a class average is consistently 18 to 20, we will look at what's happening in the class, the coach's experience, and making sure that we're providing the best services and so forth for that class when the averages is getting to there. But right now we have a top-notch coaching crew, and everybody handles classes just fine. So Tammy and I will still be doing 5 and 6 a.m. Chris is going to be coaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. Faye will be coaching 7 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. I will be coaching 9 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. Faye will be coaching 9 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. Alyssa will be coaching it on Friday, her normal Friday schedule. And then Faye and my brother will still be tag teaming, working on 11 and noon each day. So you might have both, you might have one, you might have the other. There's still noon each day, and then Alyssa's Friday, 11 and noon. Alyssa and my brother, however life pans out. But the afternoon change, Faye is taking over 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Jason's Tuesday, Thursday, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. Coaches getting home at 8 o'clock at night also was a big 8:30 sometimes. You get done with class at 7:30, people changing, closing up the gym, not getting out of here till 7:45, 7:50, drive home, eat dinner, say hello to your spouse, whatever. It makes it a really long night, especially, some days Faye starts coaching at 6 in the morning. She does a lot of personal training. She coaches a lot. She loves it. She's freaking phenomenal at it. One of the best coaches we've ever had in the gym. And she wanted this schedule. This is why I didn't put it out last week either. I wanted to make sure that we had this dialed with the change before I tell you what the change is, because the other option was going to be my brother and I coaching the afternoons. Some family reasons with kids and juggling activities and stuff, but we talked to Faye. She wanted to increase her hours, and we presented the schedule, and she's such a superstar. She said this works great. She's very happy. 3 hours in the afternoon versus 4 makes a huge difference for her. So that was all catalyst behind, like, okay, 6:30 needs to go. Coaching longevity, happiness, enthusiasm, all matters when we're looking at this whole thing. So when it comes to covering classes, this, that, and the other, nothing really changes. Jason's job is pretty flexible, so he'll still be able to sub-coach and cover other classes when needed. You guys might know Will Alexander. He did get his level 1. It is my intention to get him up to speed on covering classes and helping out in the afternoons when we need it. And then my brother, Jacob, is going to be more hanging out in the afternoon hours now, helping out as needed, whereas I'm in the morning hours, he's going to be in the afternoon hours. So if you want to say, quote unquote, leadership roles, if you will, if that means anything, I don't know. At the end of the day, we're just coaches who like to have fun with people. But leadership role and decision makers, people you can yell at, people you can get upset with. That's us, me and Jacob. So he'll be more of a presence in the afternoon, depending on when he has to get Zuzu from daycare and this and that. How late he stays is up in the air, but he will be a presence, and then also covering for, Faye or Jason needing time off or whatever. And I'll also be helping out in the afternoon, covering when needed. So we just figure it out. But this is one of the blessings of consolidating down to one location, because I'm going to tell you right now, finding coaches for the last like 5 years has been extremely difficult. It's not easy, especially when we have members here that know more than most of the coaches coming into this space. So finding experienced, very knowledgeable coaches is very difficult. So having people like Jason around still in a part-time capacity, having people like Faye come into our life as a tremendous amount of coaching experience. These are blessings, and we're very grateful, and we want to make sure that we're doing a schedule that supports them still being able to be a part and grow within the community. So that's why these changes are happening. And I would get used to the idea that not any particular coach will be owning a class across the board. We're really trying to think this through long term. Lives change, schedules need to change. So some of us might be moving around, but this core group of people, my personal goal is to hold on to this core group of people and make it very viable for them. That schedule changes, we can create some flexibility and adjustments as needed, but we still got, some of the best coaches in the game covering classes. So the plan is for the remainder of this year, got verbal commitment that this is the solid course class coaching schedule for the remainder of this year. And if we need to look at things or schedules need to change, lives of coaches change or whatnot, we can look at some evaluation going into the next year. I would like to not have to make these changes any more than needed. And, we open up opportunity if coaches need to change schedules for life or whatever's going on. We look at that kind of on an annual basis versus, sudden shifts. I really want to try to avoid too many sudden shifts is my goal. And we're always looking to network and look at other coaches. So any of you guys interested or know anybody out there that might be interested, we're always looking at networking. When Faye first came here from Europe, she walked in here as a member, bought a membership, signed up, was working out as a member. And she talked to Jess, I think, and to me, found out she was a coach. That's all she did in the UK. She was looking for work. It's like, I don't got anything full-time right now, but if we can get you integrated, if we can get you, integrated into the schedule in some capacity, be a part-time, things change. And what happens? Things change. And now she's officially like working full-time here. So that's how it works. If there's anybody out there interested in potentially doing some coaching part-time or getting into the field. So this is, again, our goal is to maintain this schedule for a year, right? No more changes. The class schedule, class attendance, everything is looking top notch. You guys might be wondering what's happening. I didn't mention 8 a.m. Masters Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's not going anywhere. Arthur still got Masters on lock. Arthur and Kathleen, 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? That's on lock. So that's not changing. So nothing else is really changing, just shifting the afternoon coaching around a little bit. Faye's taking over 6, 9 of the afternoon classes each week. All right. And then Chris and I are covering a couple of the morning classes, so she has a little reprieve there. All right. If you got questions on that, reach out. I'm happy to talk to you about it. Happy to meet up. And again, I know it felt like it was abrupt. I apologize about that. But like I said, delivering change like this isn't always happy. And you might be wondering when this is going to affect. It's going to full effect March 2nd. All right. Full effect March 2nd is when the full schedule will shift. But these changes with the 6:30 class had to happen sooner because there's going to be some moving parts here and there leading up to that. So we just had to do that. So there we are. All right. Last thing, give you guys a little education. You made it through it with me this long. You deserve a little education. Might be a complete waste of your time, but steps. Let's talk about steps. General daily movement. Steps is hot topic in all the Instagrams and all the spaces. Everybody in the world's talking about it, but it's a good hot topic. It is one that I heavily support, and I think it should be talked about more, especially when it comes to weight management, all right, and recovery. Got a little dry mouth there. So these are assumptions based on the average human being, average size. So 6,000 steps per day is about 98,000 calories per year burned. 10,000 steps per day is about 164,000 calories per year burned. 12,000 steps a day is 197 on average, 1,000 calories on average per year burned. So if you are walking 10,000 steps per day, that is potentially around 20 pounds or so of potential adipose tissue management in your favor. All right. If you're doing 12,000 steps per day, that's potentially like 30 pounds of fat management in your favor, accumulated calories that you are mitigating. All right. Now, I'm not going to say that just going out and walking is going to just blindly lose weight. Metabolism adjusts. The more movement you do, metabolism adjusts. If you eat more, there's a lot of variables, but in general, extra movement is going to dramatically help support your weight loss and weight management goals in a very meaningful way. So I do think it is advantageous to track your steps. I think it is good to have a goal of 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 steps per day. Now you're like, Derek, I did 12,000 steps per day for the whole last year, and I'm still carrying extra fat. Okay, I'm not saying this is a fix-all, but I'm saying if you didn't do that, it'd probably be worse. Now, there are lots of things that go into weight management. Calorie control is a huge one. Yeah, this isn't going to mitigate not eating the proper caloric intake required for weight management, but it is going to facilitate better recovery. It's low stress, so you're not spiking your cortisol. If you walk post meals, it helps with glucose control. Like your muscles are activating, burning up glucose versus it potentially, maybe getting stored as extra fat. It does help with recovery from workouts. So hard training sessions, going for a walk does help with recovery. Getting outside in general, getting daylight on your face, on your skin, all good for your mental health, good for your body. It's just all good. All right. It's all good. But the more you move, the better you are. And this is just a low impact, low intensity, extra movement that truly, truly helps. Now, I ride this desk quite a bit, and I, on average, easily get to 10,000 steps per day. I decided to up my steps to 12,000. And I didn't need to change a whole lot. The biggest thing that I had to change to get to 12,000 steps per day was instead of doom scrolling when I go and pick up my kids here in 30 minutes, sitting in the parking lot waiting for them, I literally almost add the whole 2,000 steps in that 15 minutes that I'm waiting for them. I just walk around the school, right? That filled the gap. So if you can find a couple moments in your day to where you can plug in some extra steps, and you know what? I still doom scroll while I walk. So I didn't even have to get rid of the doom scrolling. I just got rid of doom scrolling while sitting on my ass in the truck. Now, yes, I have to plant a sweatshirt because it's cold outside. It's a little chilly. But what I'm getting at is if you can just find some gaps, some areas, a couple of them, a couple 15-minute blocks, you can increase your step count and it can have a pretty good impact on overall health, weight management, weight loss, recovery. Like I said, all these things, like this is good stuff. It's good stuff. And I do think it deserves to get a round of applause from the influencer world. It is promoted and talked about it a lot on the social spaces. And I think this is a win for society to have this conversation of increasing our general movement and being very intentional about it. So if you got one of these smart devices, I got two, and tracking your steps, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth your time. I think it's worth your effort. And I think it's worth carving out a little bit where you have gaps that you can fill with some extra general movement. I think it's worth your effort and energy. And I think after a year of doing that, the benefits will be worth it. So that's my education piece. That's what I want to talk about. So, you guys, I'm here for you, here to support you. I do want to give a quick round of applause to all the people that are getting their first bar muscle ups, their first string together kipping pull ups. It's been cool. We've had a couple first pull ups, quite a few first pull ups I've seen, but there's been a handful of first bar muscle ups, which has been super rad, and it's been really cool to see. So I want to give those people a quick round of applause. Proud of them. Proud of everybody. All right. So let's keep doing a great job. Again, if you guys got questions on the schedule changes or anything, those of you in the afternoon who don't know Faye, I think most of you probably do, but she is a phenomenal human being. She's a better human being than she is a coach, and she's a phenomenal coach. We are blessed to have her. And I'm not just saying that. Like, she is phenomenal for the community, and it's a real honor that she's excited and happy to take over these classes. So, yeah. All right. Love you guys. Peace. Reach out to me if you need anything. Happy to help.